Triggers will be had. Jimmies will be rustled. It's every day, bro. Cryptos are going down the drain. I'm not tripping because when it goes to 3K, I'm going to re-up like a drug dealer. Pause. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solotv84. I'm your gracious host, Solomon Jones, and I'm here with a special guest, bruh. This guy's going to set it off. You already know. Special guest, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Yo, 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 what's going on, man? This is your boy Itachi Reloaded, man. It's an honor to be here, Solo. I've been watching you for years, man. Since way before I ever even had a YouTube channel. I've been watching you and O'Shea, man. So I never even thought something like this would happen, man. So I'm just honored to be here, man.
Itachi, it's good to have you on, bro. You guys make sure you smash the like button if you have any questions. I know there's going to be a lot of triggered comments, particularly in this stream. I'm not reading them unless you super chat it. I'm being stingy. I'm being bougie. I don't give a fuck. That's how we going to give it up. Bro, let's talk about this. Tell the people your YouTube channel and what it is that you talk about and the type of content that you have. And by the way, I see my baby mama Rachel in the chat. How you doing, boo-boo? Shout out to Rachel. Go ahead, bro.
All right, so, you know, as you guys know, I sort of started off MGTOW, but, you know, I sort of stopped associating with the name, and we'll go into that in the future of this live stream. But basically, I preach a similar, very, if not identical, sort of lifestyle and philosophy and ideology as MGTOW. You know, I go into how to, you know, men, how they can protect themselves from certain problems and, you know, as far as building your wealth, your power, your freedom as a man in this, you know, twisted society we live in. But I take a more occult approach in what I do. I take a more behind the scenes approach. Because if you want true freedom and true power, you kind of have to do it from within the shadows. You know, you don't really want to be in the spotlight with what you do, because a lot of the stuff I preach and a lot of how the world really works and how to really be successful is taboo by today's standards, especially for men. So I don't really take the MGTOW in your face approach. I give guys the dirty truth of what you really need to do to get where you want to go. Stuff you're not going to learn in college. Stuff you're not even really going to learn from MGTOW guys. It's just stuff I've experienced in my real life. You know, just getting down and dirty and seeing how the world really works. And I bring that to guys. You know, I feel like it's my job to bring my experience to them so they can, you know, they can achieve things without maybe having to go through what I went through or without having to learn the hard way as I might have. But really, my whole thing is doing things in a more secretive way and not being so in your face, because the people that have real power, they're all behind the scenes. You know, they're not in your face the way MGTOW is per se. So that's just a little bit about what I do, you know?
Okay. Now, you know, when your channel, some of your older content was heavily MGTOW, you know,
Right.
favored or leaning, as most would say. And then all of a sudden you switched up, and then a lot of your subscriber base called you a traitor. But before we get into that, did you always have the MGTOW philosophy? Because some people have called you a PUA. Like, how did you get into your philosophy, your feng shui, or your ideology? How did you come to that? You know, with your history, if you don't mind going through it a little bit.
Yeah, man. So I've had a very interesting background, very unique background that's been able to that's been given me the blessing to present you guys with a perspective that none of you would really have. So, I'm, as you guys know, I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm Middle Eastern. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm maybe, you know, an 8 out of 10 on the look spectrum. So I've had the blessing to be able to navigate and maneuver through so many different social circles, you know, and really get a very good understanding of how men and women work in this country, you know, how race dynamics work in this country, how white people think, how black people think, all kinds of things like that, that have really given me an overall sort of as close to perfect perception of how this at least this Western world works as possible. Now, I was born, I guess what you could call purple pill. I don't really like to use these pill definitions, you know, but for the sake of being able to relate to you guys, I was sort of born purple pill. I remember,
hey, yo,
you know,
asking in the chat if you like black girls.
absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. But but I remember, even the first girl I ever liked when I was maybe 10 years old, I didn't even know how sex worked yet, right? I was able to see women's manipulations even as a kid. I remember when I was in, yeah, but I remember, yo, man, I'll give you guys a quick story. When I was in the fifth grade, there was this girl I liked, and she would sit behind me, right? And she pushed her books off of her desk, and they fell on the floor. And I looked over behind her, and I picked them up for her the first time, right? I'm like, oh, yo, you dropped your stuff. Here you go. And she kind of got this little smirk on her face, right? I'll never forget it. And then maybe 30 seconds later, she pushes all her books off her desk again, and they hit the floor again. And I look behind myself, and I'm like, yo, what the hell is wrong with you? And she kind of like gets this shocked look on her face, like, oh, he just figured out my game. Like she wanted to see how many times she could push her books off the desk to see how many times I'd pick it up. And I did it the first time, but the second time I'm like, yo, why are you playing a game? Like, what is this? And I remember that was my very first experience with female nature and seeing kind of how they manipulate. But I've always been able to see these things ever since I was a kid. And that's probably why I never took dating so seriously as far as long-term relationships, because I understood that the longer the relationship goes on, the more and more a man has to sacrifice who he is and sort of submit to the woman in this society. So I'm very good at doing the hookup thing and having short-term relationships. But I don't date too long because in order for the relationship to keep going, the man has to allow himself to become manipulated more and more. It's kind of like the man has to allow the female praying mantis to bite his head off. So that's just been my experience, man. That's just been my reality. So yeah.
So, like, I mean, okay, you went way back, fifth grade. I mean, I didn't want you to go that far back, but I
Okay,
get
my
it.
bad.
But,
Yeah.
but did you? I mean, typically, a lot of guys who get into the MGTOW ideology, they went through what they call the ringer, right? And typically,
Yes.
we hear stories like, "I got screwed over in divorce court. My
Yeah.
wife cheated on me. Then took custody of all my kids,
Uh-huh.
and they had a protection order, and I became bankrupt." We hear stories like that. I mean, how did you get into the MGTOW philosophy? Did you go through a bad breakup? Did you get some chick knocked up and had to pay child
Okay.
support? How did
Okay.
that happen? Mm-hmm.
I got you. So, you know, like I said, I've always been able to kind of see things for what they are. But yeah, I did have some experiences that were very traumatic. I would have girls I'd break up with, in high school. And I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but I'm not gonna lie. It was mostly with white girls, right? For some reason I attract white girls like there's no tomorrow. White girls and black girls specifically seem to be drawn to me. I don't know why. I get like the both opposite ends of the spectrum. Spanish girls and Asian girls every now and then, but I seem to attract nothing but white and black girls. But I guess my biggest red pill awakening or MGTOW awakening is how when I would break up with white girls, they would get super pissed that I'd break up with them, right? And I would get threats like, yo, if you break up with me, I'm gonna lie that you raped me, right? I've had that happen
Are
multiple
you
times.
serious?
I swear to God, bro. I swear to
Damn, bro,
God.
you was bunker bustering like that?
Yeah, man. But here's the thing. I noticed it was really only the white girls that would threaten me like that, where it's like, yo, if you break up with me, I'm gonna lie that you raped me. So I did a little research
You know what that
online.
means? That means that you were a good bunker buster guy. You know what I mean?
I guess
I
so.
mean,
I guess so. I mean, I'm not Mandingo level, but I'm pretty close. So, I'm respectable. I'm happy with what I'm working with, So
hey, this dude said my dick. Hey, shout out to this dude singing. I'm sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
absolutely, man. Absolutely. But I remember feeling like, how the hell can I be this powerless? And I'm not an idiot. I know I'm not black, but I'm tan. So compared to a white woman, I'm still powerless, right? So I'm like, darn, if she really goes and tries that fake rape whistle, I'm screwed, I'm like, and I remember thinking like, how can I be this powerless? How can I work so hard, I try to become as articulate and intelligent as I can, you know, how can I be so powerless? And that's when I started looking, online and stuff. And then I found MGTOW. And by the way, when she threatened me, I was scared as hell inside, but I'm like, do it. I don't care. Go to the cops. I don't care at all. I'm trying not to swear. So I'm like, I don't care, whatever. And because I stood my ground and I showed her I wasn't scared if she goes to the cops, she didn't, right? Which was, a blessing, but it was still a very traumatic experience and gave me a degree of, post-traumatic stress disorder. So I kind of dealt with that for a few years, being shook up, when I dealt with women. But then I went online maybe 2 years after that, and I find out that there's an entire internet community of guys who have had false rape accusations. And then I find that guys have been divorced and divorce raped and all this other stuff. I never made it to that level of getting married and getting divorced, because I'm only 23 now. And these girls were threatening me when I was, 18, 19. So I started seeing just how deep the rabbit hole goes. And I sort of got a small taste of what was to come, if I kept taking these women seriously. But that was sort of what shocked me into the truth. I'm like, okay, I have no power. I'm worthless as a man. They have all the legal power in this society. And that's when I started becoming much more secretive and reclusive. And, I was a rapper in high school, right? So I was doing music videos, going to parties, hosting parties. And of course, girls are drawn to you because of that. So, but then when I would break it off with them, that's when, oh, if you break up with me, I'm going to say you raped me. So when I saw how powerless I am, I'm like, okay, I need to step into the shadows. And my life purpose kind of changed. I went from wanting to become some sort of popular, status guy to, okay, I need to really, there's a real war to be fought. There's a real battle that needs to be fought. And it's really the fight for men's freedom. I mean, the fact that I'm that powerless is pathetic. The fact that every man listening to this live stream is that powerless is truly pathetic. And I feel like everything else in life needs to be put on hold until that problem is solved. Because really, what's the point in building your wealth and your power when a girl who works at Wendy's has more legal power than a male attorney or a movie star or whatever? Any woman has more power than even some of the most powerful men. So what's the point? And until we get this problem handled, what's the point in really doing much else?
Okay. So, I mean, you were young and you
Yeah.
had, you were bunker bustering these girls into oblivion and orgasms. And
Absolutely.
you wanted to leave and they didn't. And so let's get into this. What made you decide to start a YouTube channel and then to start sharing some of your views? Because you have a very unorthodox way of thinking or some of your views. What
Yeah.
propelled you to start YouTubing?
Well, I've always been the kind of guy, man. And especially after I saw how powerless men are, I became much more introverted. I used to be a bit more extroverted, but I really just started sitting back and watching people, right? And studying people and their personalities and stuff like that. And after a couple years of just seeing how the world works, I started becoming able to predict the future, to a small degree. So I'm like, am I really going to just keep all this information to myself and just do nothing with it? So I started making the videos because I don't know, I just started getting this burning feeling in my chest where it's like, I need to get this stuff out of me. It was really more for me than it was for them. I never expected to have more than maybe a couple hundred subscribers. I was just like, I need to get this out of me. I never even thought about subscribers and Patreon and programs and all the stuff I'm doing now. It's just like, if I don't get this information out of me, I'm going to lose my mind. So I just started letting it all out. And to my surprise, people were like, yo, man, this is some of the realest stuff I've ever heard. So I had no idea. You guys tell me how good I am. I never knew that. You guys validate me. So that's just what that is.
Okay. Like who are some of your influences in MGTOW? Other
Okay,
MGTOW
so
creators.
so here's the thing, man. Even though I called myself a MGTOW, really none of my mentors were ever MGTOW. I had my mentor, my number one mentor was Mr. Jones. His first channel was called the Men's Resource Organization. His new channel right now is called Worldwide Men's Organization. He's not a MGTOW. He's sort of an occultist, and he just drops the truth about female nature and racism and how the world works. And I always related to him more than any other mentor I had. My second mentor is Warren Lance, right? Now, more people know Warren Lance than they know Mr. Jones. Warren Lance has sort of a pimp mentality. He breaks the game down in sort of the way that a pimp would think. And I really heavily resonate with his content as well. I liked the MGTOW guys, but I just feel like these other mentors I just named are in a whole different league. And those are the guys I looked up to. Now, when I first made my channel, I said I'm going to wear the MGTOW name because I believe in that. But I always had sort of the idea that I'm going to use this higher level knowledge I got from those mentors I just named to elevate the consciousness of men in MGTOW to take them to the next level. Because I feel like dudes in MGTOW are really still functioning on a very low level of consciousness. And we were talking about this before the show started. You know how if you do a video called 10 Reasons Why Feminists Suck, it'll get way more views than like how a man can develop himself and build his wealth and fight for his freedom back and, you know, get laws changed. Guys don't really want to hear that. They want to indulge in this sort of junk food level MGTOW content, but they don't really want to rise to the occasion and elevate themselves. So I naively had that mentality when I was wearing the name of MGTOW. And after so many months of seeing how most men really don't want to change, they want to stay on this low level and just talk smack about women and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I love, you know, hating on feminists and crapping all over them. It's hilarious to me. But after a while, it gets old, right? And you want to move towards something more productive. And when I saw how
hold on. You're about to jump ahead of me. You're about to jump ahead of me, and I don't mean to cut you off, bro.
My bad.
No, you good. You're good, bro. You good. You're very interesting to listen to. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Solotv84. I'm your gracious host, and I'm a butcher his name. Is it Itachi?
It's Itachi. You got it, man. You got it.
Okay. Reloaded, you know, very, very unorthodox YouTuber, but I enjoy his content, as do some of you guys in the chat. Now, one of the guys says, you're wrong. Sandman has excellent mental content. Now, what do you say to that? I mean, he says Sandman, I mean, is an ambassador. What's your take on Sandman? I'm not trying to call Sandman out, but that's the thing that they're saying in the chat. So let's keep it at 100. What?
Okay, that's a valid point. I get it. I mean, Sandman, he makes decent entry level content, you know, for guys who are just discovering this MGTOW thing. But a lot of it is just recycled content every single day, and you don't really see him pushing hard to really elevate men and actually have them really fight to make differences in the real world the way my mentors and myself do. Now, like I said before, this requires more of a covert approach, right? So a lot of it isn't going to be brought to the light right away because sometimes we don't want our motives and our plans exposed. So it does get trickier for me to prove myself and validate what I'm trying to say. Only a small group of people will really understand what I'm saying, but at the same time, that's a blessing because I can only really work with a small group of people anyway. Most people are really just never going to grasp the concept of what I'm saying and what me and my mentors are trying to do. Sandman puts out entertaining content. It is educational, but it only goes so far. It's really nothing so revolutionary that's going to change your life and really, you know, get you to start making the right moves to actually create power for yourself and for, you know, men in society. So we can go into that deeper if you'd like to. I can break down more sort of occult truths. Of course,
we'll get into that in a second. By the way, guys, anybody got anything to say? Today is the Sunday special. We're doing super chats only because this I'm trying to keep this moving and flowing. So if anybody want to say something, you got a question for the guest, please super chat it. Let me ask you this. So you make content that is MGTOW inspired because of your past. So where do you then go to a point where you kind of denounced it, and some people even say you called it out? How did you get to that point? Because some people are saying you were a PUA in disguise. So how did you, you know, let's get into that.
Absolutely. So here's the thing, right? I'm not a PUA. Frankly, I don't even think I'm as good at picking up women as some of these PUAs. I'm somewhere in between the average dude and a PUA. I'm like a step above the average dude as far as getting women, but I'm not going out there and approaching women every night. No, hell no. You know, maybe a couple times a month I'll get laid, maybe once a week if I try. I'm not a PUA. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of guys in MGTOW, whether they want to admit it or not, they still want to know how to get laid, right? So when my channel was Karama MGTOW, dudes were asking me left and right, bro, how do I get laid? How I do this? So I'm like, all right, if you want to know, then I'll give you my reality. I'll answer the questions. You know, I'll give you everything I do in my videos, right? I just give life stories. I just give life examples. See, so I'm like, all right, this is what I did to get women. This is what I did to get laid on Tinder. All I did was just tell them my experience. And another group of guys in MGTOW, and this is where it starts to get so divided, are like, okay, well, now you're preaching PUA stuff. And it's like, nah, bro, I'm not preaching PUA stuff. It's just a lot of my subscribers are asking me how to do this. I'm telling them how to do it safely. And if you actually watch my videos where I talk about getting laid, I talk about saving every text message a woman sends you, right? Saving every picture she sends you. You know, I talk about protecting yourself, trying to, you know, deal with women as safely as possible in this society. I'm not talking about go out 10 times a week and use this opening line. And no, I'm actually just talking about how to protect yourself. And I just give people what I do in real life. I don't think that makes me a PUA, you know?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, and so how did you get to the point where you're like, you know, because I've seen, like I said, I've seen your videos here. I mean, I started watching you maybe 6 months ago, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie and say I watch every video, but recently I've been watching you a lot more. But your whole sentiment seems to be that okay, MGTOW is a great ideology, but the whole sideline thing is not gonna get it done. What do you mean by that? They're not taking action, basically. And I know I'm paraphrasing, and I don't mean to take your words out of context, so that's why I want you to explain.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, I apologize because this is going to be difficult for me to explain, and I will lose some of your audience when I explain things. Like I told you before, if you really want to start making moves as far as getting rights men back and getting their power back, you can't really announce every step you're going to take. You do kind of need to do things covertly. As far as why I quote unquote denounced MGTOW, like I said, I agreed with everything the ideology stood for. I just noticed the new wave of guys in MGTOW. You know, they say it's been overrun with these incel guys and stuff like that. That wasn't even so much the problem as far as guys who aren't experienced with women entering MGTOW. The problem is when you have guys that haven't really experienced anything in life. And like I said, I'm no pickup artist, but I would have guys who have never really done anything with their lives coming in on my MGTOW channel and trying to tell me, oh, you need to create this content. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, this is a stupid idea. Oh, we just want these shallow, low-level videos where we just talk bad about women and stuff. And it's like, who are you to critique me? You've never done half of the stuff I've done. You're not on my level. I'm not even saying I'm on a high level, but you have these dudes who are so much lower who think just because they're wearing this word MGTOW, because it's free to join, right? Anyone can get in. There's no filtering process. So you're going to attract a lot of really low level people, a lot of low quality people, you know, people who aren't that intelligent. Like the analogy I gave you before we started the live stream. Let's pretend you have a high-end nightclub with a bouncer and a rope, and only the best of the best people get in, so they really have a good time, right? Or you have this bar in your local town where it's free for anyone to get in. You have a bunch of fat women getting in. You have a bunch of weirdos getting in, and no one's really having fun, right? It's sort of the same thing with building your own social circle of like-minded people to actually create results, or having a sort of free-to-join philosophy or free-to-join organization where any random dude can come in and just start spewing his beliefs. And before you know it, it becomes so divided.
Now, hold up. Now, in the chat, they're saying, well, MGTOW is not a group or club or cult.
Right. Here's the thing, though. They say that, and I know this because I'm a MGTOW content creator, but here's the thing, right? Everyone wants their view of reality to become the reality. So guys say that.
Wait.
But then,
can you say that again, please?
Yes. Everyone wants their view of reality to become reality. Right? So I would have guys when I was Karama MGTOW saying, bro, I really want to make this the reality. What do we need to do to make this happen? See, a lot of guys say, oh, we're just walking away. It's an ideology. That's not what's actually in their hearts, man. In their hearts, they're actually dying, and they want what they want to be reality. They want to see it come to fruition, right? But they don't really know how to do that. They don't want to put in the work. They just want to talk smack with each other. I'm more interested in working with the guys that are actually going to do the legwork to make a shift in this world, to make a change. And who knows, man, we might fail miserably. We might crash and burn, but it's like, we're going to fight for something at least, right? Whereas a lot of these entry-level MGTOW guys, or these incels, or whatever you want to call them, they just want to talk smack. They just want to fight with people. They just want to consume this woman-hating content, but they don't really want to put in any work to make any changes. And for someone like me who's so driven and passionate, it's really disgusting to deal with people like that. So I'm like, dude, I'd rather just work with the small group of guys that are actually interested in building power than make videos all day, 20 reasons why feminists suck and stuff like that. It just, I don't know. It's just not for me.
You know, I find it interesting. And, you know, there's a lot of MGTOW content creators I see. They make videos always talking about women and the pearls of feminism and things like that. and some of them have grown tremendously. But when I look at some of their content, right, you go back to when you first start and where they're at now, there's really no progression. So, for example, for me, like if you look at my content when I first started, you know, I was talking about dating and battle rap, right? And I don't even talk about battle rap much anymore. But a lot of people don't know that's where, you know, Don DeMarco comes from battle rap. A lot of people don't know that I used to do a lot of battle rap reviews. And then it came sort of like, okay, now I'm talking about social issues and particularly in the Black community. And then it went from talking about that to interviewing people and traveling. Then I started to get into cryptos. So what I'm saying is there's like a progression in my content. And over time, anybody who follows me can see that, okay, yeah, Solo's talking about this. But when it comes to topic he doesn't know, he gets a guest that does know that. And so now we're talking about finances. We're talking about politics. We're even talking about spirituality now on my channel. You know? And I don't see that with a lot of MGTOW content creators. I know there are a couple out there, but the majority of them, I don't see them talking about how to get your money right, how to get your mind right. You know what I mean? And I'm not bashing anybody, but I was watching a MGTOW guy the other day, and it's kind of like, you know, he's still talking about the same stuff he was talking about when he first got in. And it's kind of like the content to me kind of gets boring because where's the content to challenge you? And this is why I challenge my viewers. Always put the onus on yourself to self-improve, and you got to be honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, then growth is not going to happen. You know, to have growth in your life, you have to be very honest with yourself. And so for me personally, I understand Red Pill Rage. You know, we all get that. But I just feel like the progression, where's the progression? Am I reaching? I mean, what's your thoughts on what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the quotes I always tell people is, if you're not growing, you're dying. So if we're just going to make these videos all day talking smack about women, but we're not actually educating men and women and trying to create a sort of social shift, what's the point? You know, what's the point? Eventually, you know, we're going to get old and die, and the cycle is just going to keep going. And it's like, you need to be out there making moves, not just making sort of girly gossip. You know, like when I see these videos, like, and I'm not going to lie, man, even a lot of what Sandman does, even a lot of what the Turd Monkey does, all of them, it's like the MGTOW version of Wendy Williams, bro. Like when I'm watching this stuff, it's entertaining to watch one or two videos like that. But it's like, yo, when the video ends, my life has not changed. I don't know what I need to do to really create a shift or a change or build any power for me and the people I care about. I just enjoyed some good gossip, essentially. So that's really where I fell out with MGTOW as well, man. It's just, like I said, when anyone can get in on it, you're going to have a lot of low-level people who aren't that intelligent who start creating content and thinking they're geniuses. And it's like, no, you're really not. You're diluting whatever this message is, and you're not teaching anyone anything. And we're just wasting our time. We're wasting our prime years, man. We're not actually making any sort of change. We're really just gossiping, you know?
Okay. And shout out to Marcus A. Brown. Hey, Marcus, man, you already know what time it is. Here you go. Thank you for donating. We got Maddie Ghost in the building, got the mods in the building. You know, it's funny because when I say the progression, people will say this guy or that guy, but I'm talking about as a whole. You know, just because you have one or two guys that are ahead of everybody doesn't mean that everybody in MGTOW is ahead of everybody. Now, let's talk about the censorship that is going on. But before we talk about that, you Middle Eastern guy, did you ever, because I know I have, but did you ever experience racism in MGTOW or any other comments? Because you were talking about, you know, a moment ago, you were talking about how you have no problem bunker busting Becky, Emily, Tiffany, Kelsey,
Jessica.
Chelsea, Linda.
Sabrina.
You know, basically, you're a Middle Eastern guy, and you're putting your shish kebab into white women. And I know there's some white listening. They're going to feel a certain way. Did you experience any racism, or did you see any racism in MGTOW?
Here's the thing. I didn't experience racism in MGTOW until I denounced it. And then a lot of the white guys in MGTOW were like, oh, well, fuck you, you sand nigger. We don't need you. We don't need you. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear. If you want to edit that out.
Cool.
But yeah, they threw all kinds of, sand monkey and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's like, okay, when I was giving you that low level content that you like, when I was giving you your little McDonald's MGTOW video type stuff where it's just, bashing women and stuff like that, you loved me. But then when I actually started showing you some tough love and trying to get you guys to grow, now it's F you, sand monkey, this and that. It's like a child that's mad that you're trying to feed them broccoli instead of cheeseburgers. I got that from a few white guys, not even a lot of white guys, but a couple. But yeah, there is racism in MGTOW, especially between the white and the black and everything. So yeah, there's a level of that. It's really not as unified as you think it is. And like I said, when you have a group that is free for anyone to join and anyone can just stumble in, it's going to get more and more diverse and divided and watered down as time goes on anyway. And the quality you can already see is starting to go down in the content. It's getting weirder. We're talking about sex robots and incel this and that. And it's like, bro, a dude like me is not trying to talk about that. I'm trying to make moves. I'm not trying to talk about sex robots.
Bro,
I'm never going to buy
weird.
a sex robot.
Like, bro, I was watching this video yesterday, and this dude was talking about sex robots, and
yeah, man.
And I'm sorry, but if you want to have sex with an inanimate object, bro, you're weird. I'm sorry. Yep. You might have a personality like me. I don't. Okay, I get it. STDs are rampant. These women are treacherous. I get it. But there's no better feeling than sliding my my long john into a woman. You know what? And just. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Making it clap. But sex robots, bro, like imagine you're pounding away on a sex robot and then your penis gets electrocuted while you're bro. Listen, I don't want my penis to look like a fried, chicken torch or whatever. I'm not trying to be graphic, but I mean, I find it very interesting. And so, so you experience some of that. And the conversation, of course, but the sex robots. I don't even talk about that. Let's get off that. Let's get off. I'm not talking about that.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Pop Smoking Ghost for the donation. Appreciate that. Now, some there are people, Itachi, that are accusing you in the chat of wanting to start your own group. That's why you're now pushing your own book or your own program. Because you just want to use MGTOW as a springboard to catapult your own brand. What do you say to those people?
I'm very glad you brought that up. And if anyone watches the video I did, Rest in Peace MGTOW, I talk about how everyone should create their own social circle. Everyone should create their own private group of like-minded, powerful men that are going to help you guys achieve your own interests. Because like I said, man, true power lies in the shadows, right? So you have something like MGTOW where everyone's so upfront and in the open about their intentions, and you're doing it on a platform that you don't own, so you don't have the power. Of course you're going to get shut down. Become more secretive. Create your own little societies of men who are like-minded, who are working towards each other's goals. That way you're harder to shut down. You're harder to pinpoint. You're harder to read and predict, right? You're harder to accuse. It's harder for people to sort of figure you out and women to accuse you and manipulate you and things like that. Whereas when you just advertise yourself as a MGTOW and you show your face, you're trying to fight fair, but the people you're fighting are using manipulation and underhanded tactics and shadow banning, and CNN is warping the view of you. So I don't even blame them, because a lot of MGTOW guys are actually guys that have integrity and they're honest and they're upfront. The problem is the enemy is not honest and has integrity and is upfront. It's like, you're trying.
Say it again. Say it again.
Absolutely, man. It's like you're trying to do a peace walk and you're just marching down the street, and then you have like the KKK with like flaming torches and guns shooting at you. You can't fight fair when the enemy's not fighting fair. You have to learn, covert tactics, guerrilla warfare, how to be more stealthy and secretive and do things under the table and in the shadows. The same way I deal with women very discreetly and safely to reduce my risk of a false allegation or something like that. You have to take that approach with everything now, because that's just the way it is. The tallest tree gets cut down. And that's what you're starting to see happen with MGTOW. And I predicted this like a year and a half ago. You have to use the same strategy that the people that are in power use, straight up.
Okay. So you're saying that men should fight dirty, but now you're starting to sound like a men's rights activist.
Not even fight dirty. I'm saying fight secretively. Don't make your intentions so known. do things in a more stealthy, covert way. The same way the system that oppresses all of us does that. They never get in your face and tell you men are worth less than women, and we're going to charge them more child support. They just kind of charge them more child support, but you never really get that in your face. Yes, you are worth less than women. It's all done behind the scenes. It's all done subconsciously. And if you're smart, you figure it out. But so many men don't figure it out because a lot of this stuff is covert warfare, essentially. And if you want to start fighting to get some of your rights back and some of your power back, you kind of have to take the same approach, man. This platform like YouTube, if you use the word MGTOW, which they're now headhunting and sniping people who use this word and getting them deleted and banned and demonetized, you can preach the same message like I do, without having to use the word MGTOW. That way you're harder to track, you're harder to get shut down. I'm saying guys need to start getting creative and stop getting so emotionally invested in one name or one brand, and create their own and have their own and do it in a more stealthy way. Don't just become like a patriot for this word MGTOW, because that can be taken down and shut down so easily, you know?
Okay, certainly. Now let me ask you this. You see where society's headed. We've got feminism, the Me Too movement. Now we've got women that well, not to get off topic, but what is your take on now men are going after these Snapchat and Instagram thoughts that aren't filing their taxes? Did you hear about that?
You know, I literally just found out about that like an hour before we started the live stream, the thought audit. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, it's really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't see it making much of a difference. I mean, I think this country is heading for destruction anyway. It's funny, but it's not like a big revolutionary sort of thing. It's interesting. And, you know, this is another thing I talked to the MGTOW guys about. Don't get so bent out of shape if the word MGTOW gets taken down, because a lot of men are actually red pill and MGTOW, even if they'll never ever hear the word MGTOW or red pill, because this society is creating savage men by the day. I mean, bro, I see these Generation Z guys. I have dudes who are 12 and 13 years old, man, who email me and call me like, yo, man, I'm just trying to pump and dump girls in middle school. I understand, like, they're all thoughts these days. I'm never having kids. I'm like, damn, like when I was 12 and 13, I wasn't thinking any of this stuff, man. But because of the internet and because it's so easy to see what women have turned into, and social media and the internet has exposed them, you're going to have generations of dudes who are just straight up savages in the future, you know, pumping and dumping like crazy. So even if MGTOW dies or gets silenced on the internet, that red pill philosophy will always live on in young guys, because the way things are going now, all roads do lead to MGTOW, even if the word doesn't exist. So I told the MGTOW guys in my video, rest in peace MGTOW, even if they shut down the channels and the name dies, it's really not that big of a deal, because what you want to happen essentially is going to happen, as far as watching it all burn, if that's really what you want.
Now, Itachi, I'm gonna be real with you. Now, I'm gonna trigger some motherfuckers, but I don't care. I think that a lot of guys, not all, wouldn't be MGTOW if they got the particular women that they wanted. And let me explain. 2 years ago, I used to talk to a lot of MGTOW guys on my channel. A couple of them. There was one guy who he was hardcore, you know, was always talking, you know those hardcore MGTOW guys talk that long shit, talking about putting their foot on women's necks, all of that shit, right?
Right.
You know, this guy was super hardcore, and he was one of my best guests. And then this guy went to, you know, he went to Asia, the Philippines, I believe.
Yep.
And you know, he met his wife, he got her knocked up. And all of a sudden, all that MGTOW shit went out the window. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
No, man. I mean, he said, I'll never get married again. He got married. I'm not having no more kids. He had a kid with her. You never saw him on no more MGTOW channel. Last time I saw him was on Instagram, happy as fuck. And I'm not dissing him, but I'm just saying, like, this guy has not been seen on a MGTOW channel in months. So what I'm saying is, my assertion, and I know Stardust, I believe he's the first to say it, is a lot of MGTOW are blowjob away from going back to the plantation. What is your take on that? Do you believe it, or you
let
think
me ask you this. Let me ask you this, man. How old is that guy?
That guy was about 35.
Okay, so even if he became MGTOW, you got to understand he still grew up in a time where the simping was much heavier. Women looked like way more angelic than they do today. So yeah, he probably just still had way more of that simp blue pill programming in him. So it was easier for him to snap back. These new generations of guys coming up, right? I'm not even talking me. I'm 23. I'm talking guys who are 5, 10 years younger than me. They are animals, bro. Like they didn't grow up in that concept of how to get married and start a family. Most of them grew up with single moms and stuff. So a lot of these guys wouldn't even know how to get married if they wanted to, man. You're going to see way more pumping and dumping, especially with Tinder and social media with Gen Z. My prediction is in the next 10, 20 years, you're going to have like nothing but single moms and grown man children who never really learned how to become men, just pumping and dumping. Because they're growing up in a totally different world than even me. You know, I was in middle school maybe in 2008, man, and things were very different. I mean, this is before Tinder, before Snapchat. We even still had a bit of a romantic view about women, right? We were starting to see the truth, but fast forward 10 years, man, you got these dudes with Snapchat and Tinder, and they're in the 6th grade. They are seeing women for exactly what they are at such a young age. I really don't see them even knowing how to get married, number
Are you
one.
sure
Number
that's the
two,
case?
even
Are you
affording
sure
to
that they're
or wanting
really
to. I'm
see
sorry,
women
what'd
for
you
what
say?
they are?
I'm
You
sorry, what'd you
saying
say?
that in six? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
What I was saying
Yes, I hear
is,
you.
you're saying that young kids coming up in 6th grade, right, with
Yeah, yeah,
Snapchat, Instagram, they're seeing
yeah.
women for what they are, but
Right.
there's still so many simps, because if there weren't, there would be no way you would have women on Snapchat
Okay.
being able to
Right.
sell recycled pictures for $250.
I understand.
Somebody's
Oh
buying
well.
them. It's not me. I mean, there's Pornhub. God damn it, for fucking free. Why, So somebody is paying for these pictures. I
I'll
mean,
put it
and some of these young guys, all of them are Sims. But are you sure
right.
that the younger generation is being red pill or not?
I'll put it this way, bro. I'll put it this way, bro. I was dating a chick who was 18 or 19, maybe 6 months ago, right? Now
Mhm.
she's maybe 18, right? But she has friends who are 16, 17, 19, 20, whatever. Now
Well,
you're
bro,
right that
you
simping will
bro.
always exist. I'll put it this. What do you say?
I said, you Takashi 6ix9ine, bro?
No, no,
Easy.
she was
Don't snitch.
18. She was 18. I was like 22. I'm pretty sure that's legal.
Okay, okay,
But
all
here's
right,
the thing,
bro.
right? I'll put it this way, right? She there will always be simps, right? Let's get it clear. But a simp today is nothing like a simp 30 years ago, right? A simp 30 years ago would wait 20 years, never get laid, then become like a successful lawyer, then get married, then get divorced, right? Let me tell you the difference between a 2018 simp and like a 1975 simp. So when I was with this girl, right? She's 18, I'm 22. We're hanging out, we're dating. She had a ton of guys blowing her up, kissing her ass, calling her beautiful, but all they wanted to do was smash, bro. Every last guy. She said no one, and she was a cute girl, but she's like, no one ever wants to take me to a nice restaurant. No one ever wants to take me to meet their parents. Even the simps, they just blow her head up and give her compliments in an attempt to get laid. None of them are bringing them home to her parents. None of these guys would even know how to do that stuff because they weren't raised to know how to do that. She's not getting marriage proposals from younger guys. She told me like dudes in their 40s and 50s, like lonely old guys, are offering to pay for her college and marry her. But no young guys coming up these days are doing any of that. They're simping just to get laid, but they have no intentions, nor do they even have the resources to provide for her the way she really wants. None of them are really going to be that golden simp that she's looking for this day and age. You see what I'm saying?
Hold that thought for a second. Shout out to, let me read the donations real quick. Shout out to Jim Wright. He says, yo, shout out to Solotv84. Keep up the good work, brother. Really doing the world some good. Thank you, Mr. Wright. Appreciate that. Hey, yo, is that Eddie Murphy? Oh, no, that's Danny Glover. A young Danny Glover in your avatar. Okay. Maddie Ghost. And hold up, let me get y'all right. Maddie Ghost says women in third world countries are the best. I don't even deal with American women. I just make money here stateside. I need that farm bill sign. I have some hem stocks ready to explode. There you go, Maddie Ghost. Hey, talking about hem stocks, man. That's where I'm putting my crypto in. Now, before I get off topic, bro, Itachi, let me ask you this. Nowadays, you're saying that the Sims nowadays are a bit more savage than Sims before, but I would say that when you see women now, you see even like what we would quote unquote perceive as good girls, right? They're on Snapchat and Instagram, And even like girls that are like quote unquote good, I mean, they're showing cakes. I mean, they're not showing, they may not have their booty out like an Instagram model or one of these Insta dots, but these women are a lot more forward than before. Do you think that also part of the culture? Because now we do live in the hookup era. And so for me, that's why I find it odd that if we're talking about pump and dump, then really what's the need for men to go their own way? Because these women are giving out coochie like, lollipops right now.
Right. And that's the thing. And I hate to sound like, like I'm trying not to swear. I hate to sound like an a-hole. But women, most men and most women don't even care to identify MGTOW or understand it because we're already living a mostly MGTOW reality anyway. Like I said, these chicks are getting passed around, pumped and dumped. Most dudes, like I said, they simp just to get laid, but they're not trying to give a woman a future anymore, nor could they afford to, even if they wanted to, most guys these days. So we don't even, even if MGTOW died tomorrow, it wouldn't even be a problem because the ball is rolling. It's so set in motion. Someone commented monogamy is dead. It's a total hookup culture, whether we have MGTOW or not. And you're seeing women pay the price for that. And I'm starting to see women lose their minds around 24, 25 because they party so much harder now. They start to look like what they would look like at 32, 33, at like 25. And their options already start to dry up then. And they just keep getting pumped and dumped. And maybe they find a sim.
The wall is alive.
And maybe they find a simp that wants to be with them for 6 months a year. But these women, because they live in this hookup age and they're so used to instant gratification, instant sex, they don't even have the heart or the discipline to keep a simp for 5 or 10 or 15 years the way a woman 20, 30 years ago did. They'd rather just after 2, 3 years jump onto, back onto the carousel. A lot of women don't even have the discipline these days to be effective gold diggers, bro. Like young women, like 18, 22, 23, they don't even have that game that women 20, 30 years ago had. They're so used to hopping on Tinder and Snapchat, jumping around. They're sort of addicted to getting passed around anyway. So it's like the perfect storm. You can just sit back and watch it burn. You really don't even need MGTOW anymore. The ball is so set in motion. The destruction is inevitable,
Bro, you just dropped so many jewels there. Hold up, let me read the donation real quick. He said, Will 33, shout out to you, man. Appreciate you. He says, great show, but 10 gap in relationship is growing. Do you know what he means by that?
I'm guessing I mean, I don't know. If I had to guess, I'd mean younger girls are dating like older guys. I mean, I see a little bit of that, but like I said, the simping isn't as heavy as it used to be. And these women don't even have the discipline to see through their manipulations to the end the way they used to. A lot of them give up halfway into it. Even when I see girls, for example, man, I'll have a girl I break up with, right? She'll start dating a simp and she's like, I'm doing the responsible thing. But guess what? Maybe 3 to 6 months into it, she starts getting that itch down there so bad to go back to getting that bad boy. You know what I'm talking about? She'll abandon the manipulation. She'll abandon trying to, finesse this dude into a marriage. And even if they get the marriage, you're not going to see Gen Z women married for more than 1 to 5 years tops. A woman can't hold out 20, 30 years and milk a man like she could back in the 70s and 80s. They don't have that discipline anymore. There's so much temptation at every turn. A lot of them sabotage their own manipulations just because, like I said, this is the entitlement generation anyway. A lot of these women have so much temptation. They don't have the heart to see through their gold digging to the end. They give up on it a couple months in, a year in, and they just go back to the carousel. So they're actually screwing themselves over in a way as well, as far as extracting resources and money. Like I said, they don't even have the heart that gold diggers back in the day had.
Bro, and you bring up such an excellent point, and really you tied into something that I've talked about, and you should know, shout out to him. He says the lack of disciplines because of the instant gratification from social media. And I mean, it makes so much sense now because you have a woman on YouTube called Shira711.
Right? Oh, I've heard of her.
And
the Star Goddess.
Like,
oh,
yeah. yeah. The goddess, but more like the devil. I mean, it's shit.
Yeah.
She looked like a creature from the dark. Like she looked like something that Dr. Frankenstein made, and he forgot that he made it, and so he put like some fucking acid on her face or something like. Anyway, let me get back on topic. here you have a woman who's a post-wall, miserable married woman. She's so miserable that she, goes on YouTube, talks about how she doesn't love her husband and blah, blah, blah. I mean, she mentions this, that she married him for money. She's open about it. And when you go on her live streams, bro, it's 500 women asking her questions. How can I get a sugar daddy? How can I get a guy to give me money without sleeping with him? And it's like women that are in their, teens, late teens, 20s, or also these single mothers who were ran through by Pookie, Ray Ray, and Tyrone. And it boggles my mind because I realize that a lot of these women, number one, are hood rats. Okay.
Yes.
And number two, if a woman needs to go on freaking YouTube to learn how to be a gold digger, she's not in tune with her sexuality, because that's all really being a gold digger is playing up your sexuality to get a man what he wants. And so isn't that true that a lot of these women, if you tie in sexuality, it goes hand in hand with femininity, right? Isn't that kind of a telltale sign that a lot of these women aren't in touch with their feminine energy? If they have to go on YouTube and learn the art of gold digging from a woman who looked like she got hit by a truck?
Absolutely, they're not. And here's the thing. Say what you will about She-Ra 7. I've got to give her props that she is a determined gold digger. I mean, she is really faithful to the craft of gold digging. And she came up in a generation where she didn't have social media. She didn't have this instant gratification. So even though what she's doing is messed up, she actually developed the skills and had the heart to stick it out and be an effective gold digger, right? And play that game down to a T. These young girls that are watching her, they didn't grow up in the circumstances she did. So they don't have the discipline and the heart to do it as effectively as she did. At the best, they'll pull it off for maybe a few months, maybe a couple of years, but then it's right back to getting pumped and dumped and being broke. So as shiesty as she is, she did have the heart to stick it out and play that game to the end. These new women don't have that heart. The same way most guys in MGTOW don't have the heart to follow the advice me and my mentors give down to a T and truly try to create a change. It's the same thing with the men and the women. The young guys and the young women, for the most part, don't really have the heart to stick to anything. So that's why women these days really can't even be effective gold diggers for the most part.
And hold up, before I forget, Itachi, I just got to read this real quick. Shout out to my boy, Mr. Perez. How you doing? He says, I remember having 20-year-old girls think I was weird. I wanted to knock on the door when I came to pick her up. She was like, that's why we have texting. And that's another thing. I think that younger women are losing the art of seduction. You know what I mean? The art of seducing man, because of the fact that they don't know how to communicate with men like the women's past. Like even like the way my mother carries herself. Even my mother's 60 years old, but she carries herself like a lady. Like back in the day, they used to say a dame, right? She's a dame, you know. And that wasn't an insult, but it meant like she's a lady. The way she carries herself, the way she talks to people. And now these women, they're very vulgar. They try to sound like men, and a lot of them do sound like men. Yes. And by the time they're 25, some of them, or 30 or 35, definitely in their 40s, they look look worse than men. I mean, some of these women, they look like abracadabra on some Harry Potter, hocus pocus, dementor type shit. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing, bro. Feminism has actually killed women's ability to manipulate men. It's actually so much more self-destructive. All it does is ruins a woman's ability to manipulate men because it makes them more masculine. For any women listening, if you really want to manipulate a man and own him forever, you have to be feminine and sweet and melt your way through to his heart. You don't try to dominate him the way another man would dominate him. You have to use that feminine charm, that feminine energy to melt your way into him and have him hooked on you. But feminism and this new age BS has taught women to sacrifice their power and try to become mediocre versions of men, thinking that's going to get them the man they want. All it does is make them a mediocre man, and all they end up being good for is being passed around. That's why these new women can't even be effective gold diggers, because they're not even functioning on a level of a feminine energy. They're not even radiating that feminine energy that hooks a man to them. they're acting like dudes and saying bruh and fam, and yeah, you know, we'll put up with that enough to to pump and dump you, but we're not going to be so hooked on you with that energy that we want to spend all our money on you and get divorce raped and all that. So women from the past were much better manipulators and gold diggers because they knew how to harness that feminine loving energy to melt their way into a man and really own him forever. New women these days, they don't have any of that, bro. Feminism killed their game, and now they're really suffering more than ever.
We got Zach King in the building, the new gunner. Hold up, Itachi. I got to give him a shout out. Shout out to Zach King, man. Him and Yogi Oaks, these are new YouTubers. They're really, really bringing great content that is really making a guy like Zach, man. You got me now. You got me trying to step my game up, but you know what? Shout out to Zach King, man. It's all love. You know what I mean? He's welcome to come on Solo TV anytime. But I got my boy Itachi right now, so I'm focused on him. Let's talk about this topic real quick, because this is something that is deep. Now, it's 2019, and I say it's 2019 because this is technically, we got about a month and some change left, right? Some days left, right? 2019, let's talk about it. Dating, I mean, conventional dating is dead. I mean, it still goes on, obviously. But what do you see happening in regards to the sexual marketplace in 2019?
Okay.
When it comes to men and women, gender war, the social dynamics and things of that sort.
Before I get into that, I want to give a shout out to a young lady in your chat, Ed Marie. She said, young man's dropping jewels. And I think a lot of you guys, including you, Solo, that last point I just made, I don't know if you guys truly grasped what I just said. I think it got interrupted, but that was actually some of the dopest stuff I said. Did you really catch what I just said? My last point about how feminism is sapping women's ability to manipulate because it's killing their feminine energy. That was actually, for any women listening, if you want to manipulate a man, that's actually the secret. But back to your question, man. You said what is the hold up, Itachi.
Let's talk about that for a second. Doesn't that go back to something I said though, that women are now, they've lost their sexuality and femininity, right? So now they have to learn it on YouTube, kind of like men have to learn how to be masculine.
That is very true, actually. Yeah, you're right.
And ooh, bro, we're about to talk to some real shit here. That's why I brought the next topic, because I've already got a place that I'm going with this. But bro, like you dropped that jewel and so dope, right? But a lot of these women don't know, bro. We're about to face another recession here soon. I mean, that's what I think.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it goes up and down so rapidly these days. I just assume that every day is a recession, and I live my life according to that, very frugal, very minimalistic. But that's a whole nother conversation,
Definitely. But if you want to expand on that, that feminism is killing women's femininity, go ahead, bro. I know I cut you off. You got some YouTubers we're watching, so I got to do them a shout out, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I don't really have anything else to say about that. I'll get back to the question you asked me. If you could just ask me one more time, so I remember.
Okay. So 2019.
Yes.
What do you see in regards to the sexual marketplace? When I say that, I'm talking about gender war or dating in general. What do you see happening in 2019? Me Too movement.
Okay.
What do you see happening?
Well, I hate to be so blunt, but like as my mentor, Mr. Jones says, women these days are like cheap cheeseburgers. I mean, the stock is plummeting. Here's the thing, man. The more naked women we see online and on Snapchat, women don't understand that, yeah, you're getting some instant attention from that, but you're actually like devaluing yourself as a whole. And I mean, it's no secret that men already now view women as sex objects. And as men make less and less money, and as more dating apps come out and easy sex becomes more and more obtainable, we don't feel the need to put in that much effort to get laid anymore, man. I mean, I've talked about how, and to answer your question, like I said, it's going to be nothing but hooking up and single moms and non-committal man children. Because number one, men, we're not even forced to grow up anymore. I can play video games into my 40s if I wanted to, It doesn't matter. There's no old school men like back in the day G-checking you saying like, look, young man, you need to get it together and be a real man and get a real job, and then you go and find a woman. Like, just like there's nothing enforced to make women feminine and submissive and loyal anymore, there's nothing enforced to make a man a real man anymore and have to rise to any sort of standard. And even me, like when I push myself, it's just because for some weird reason I love pushing myself and I love becoming the best man I can be. But I just happen to enjoy that. Most men don't even really enjoy that. And there's no one forcing them to do it. So, like I said, you're going to have a bunch of man children and a bunch of thoughts. And women are always going to want to have kids, regardless of if they can keep a man, because you know that biological clock, you know they've got to pump out those babies by 30 or whatever. So, yeah, they'll get pregnant by a couple bad boys and then just be single moms. And then you'll just have like, you know, man children running around, knocking women up. And it's just going to get even uglier. But that's really just my prediction, man. It's going to get even uglier and less responsible than it already is. And it can only go down from here, in my opinion.
Now, you bring up an excellent point here, man children. And we got to talk about that because we always talk about single mothers and how women need to keep their legs closed. But when you say man children, do you think that the reason for the rise of single mothers is because men don't want to take responsibility of their children, or because the women don't allow them to?
It used to be because they don't allow them to, and now it's both, right? And I used to watch Tariq Nasheed a lot. I don't know if you ever heard of Tariq Nasheed. But I used to watch them. I used to watch his Math Lessons Radio when I was like 16, 17 all the time. And he would talk about how in the black community, like in the 60s, when they were doing all this feminism stuff, in order for women to get the benefits of like the welfare or whatever, they had to prove that they didn't have a man living in the house, right? So like some government inspector would come by every week to check for like shaving products or anything that's related to a man living there to make sure a man's not living there. And if a man's not living there, then she gets the benefits of the welfare or whatever. So it's been planned, you know, for 50, 60 years to get men out of the house, to create this whole welfare state and this feminism. All of this is according to an even bigger agenda, right? It's all part of a bigger plan. So back in the day, yeah, men were kind of forced out of it. Now, the men my age coming up who didn't even have dads, we're so disgusted with the women we see around us. A lot of us don't even want to be part of the kids' lives. So it's like, what's the point? It's her body, it's her choice. The kid is hers. She can use it as a weapon against me. You know, she can hide the kid from me to mess with me because she still likes me or whatever. They can play so many games with the kids. So I think O'Shea Jackson said, like, if you accidentally knock a woman up, abandon your kid because it's not your kid anyway. It's her kid. And all she's going to do is use it as a weapon against you to manipulate you and extort you. So you might as well walk away, as messed up as that sounds. So to answer your question, back in the day, yes, men were forced not to have their kids. These days, not only are they forced not to for the few that still want to, most of them don't even want to because they're like, dude, this risk is not worth the reward. You know what I'm saying? And it's not even my kid. It's her kid.
That's so dope. Now, one of the things that I foresee happening is that eventually men, next year is going to be a big year for men in regard to, you know, men who are red pilled. And I don't care if you're MGTOW, MRA, PUA, but I think that men, what's going to happen is the censorship and demonetization shit that we're seeing. I think they're going to go hardcore next.
I can see that.
I think
I can see that. And that's why I promote creating your own little group, your own little, you know, sort of network like I am, as far as still dropping this red pill content, but in a more secretive way without advertising a big brand name like MGTOW on it. That way you're much harder to find, you know? And if all men just do this in their own social circles, you'll create that reality you want anyway. It's like the saying, all you have to do is water. If everyone waters their own garden, you know, the whole world will be a garden or whatever the hell the saying is. I don't know. So as long as everyone just takes care of their own little social circle and sort of, you know, preaches that red pill philosophy, that red pill education to their own little clique, if everyone just did that, you don't even need a big group like MGTOW. You can kind of create that reality if everyone kind of just plays their part. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm giving that knowledge in a much more secretive way so that I don't, you know, attract too much negative attention and always have to keep making new channels and stuff like that. So like I said, it's sort of just taking this information into the shadows and getting the most powerful men I can find into my group to actually create a sort of change, sort of influence, you know, trying to attract men with connections into this, into my own little group. And if other men do the same thing, I think we can get much better results than just trying to create popular trends that grow and die every couple of years, you know?
Definitely. And I totally agree with that. And, you know, for me, like I said, I think that it's important that men, we do become unified. However, I think that one of the things that, you know, I do like the MGTOW ideology, but I think MGTOW has been overrun by the alt-right.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that there's so many guys that have that mindset, you know, because everything is cool until, you know, we're talking about the Calgary plan and, you know, the aliens, as Roosh V calls them now, goodness gracious, the aliens are pushing black men to bunker buster all these Beckys. And that lets me know that, you know what, all of this ideology, while it's a hypocrisy in a sense, because you're telling us that men should be unified, but then when it comes to issues that in regards to a man's individual happiness, not that unification shit don't matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's very important that as a man, you understand what you're about, what you want to do, and more importantly, figure out your own way. You know, remember in Naruto, they call it the way of the ninja, right?
Yes, yes.
You got to figure out the way of the ninja. And I know you know where I'm going with this. And and that's why for me, it's kind of like, okay, you know, we all have our own ideology. I get that. But you know, everybody's journey is different. But at the end, the road is the same. For all of us men that are here, we all want to be free.
Very true. And I guess that's why I say don't focus so much on one name or one movement like MGTOW. Do what you have to do behind the scenes to all work for that reality, and we'll get there regardless. Instead of just stubbornly, blindly standing behind, you know, the word MGTOW, no matter what it turns into. Forget the name, forget the advertising. Just do what you have to do. You don't even have to call it anything. Just get your own little crew, do what you have to do, and we'll all sort of work towards that goal. It doesn't have to have one name. It doesn't have to be so in your face. You know, just the same way the people in power, they don't have a name for any movement. They just do what they know has to be done in the shadows to get the results they want. But it doesn't have to have a name, you know?
Right. Definitely.
That actually weakens it a lot.
Welcome to Solotv84. We got Itachi. I keep butchering a name, bro.
It's just Itachi, bro. It's like that. It's like those TVs called Hitachi, but without the H. Okay. It's just Itachi.
Itachi Reloaded. Y'all make sure y'all check them out. Bro, before we leave, is there a topic or anything that you wanted to discuss or talk about?
You know, man, I'm much better at answering questions than I am at asking them. So I'm kind of like a counterpuncher, man. You just hit me with whatever you want, and I'll try to give it back to you. You know.
Okay. Now let me ask you this then. And if anybody got any final questions, make sure y'all super chat it, because I do got to go to bed. It's Sunday night. They got the new Brazos episode coming out.
All right.
What is your take? Do you believe that right now, when you look at social media, right, that there's a renaissance going on with men, so to speak? I mean, look at November. We've got something known as No Not November, right?
Right.
That is basically pushing empowerment for men. We've got like red pill ideology. Do you think there's sort of I don't want to use the word woke, but for lack of better verbiage, that there's some a sort of a woke renaissance happening with men to get into another level? I don't want, you know, another dimension of consciousness. Or what is your take on what's going on right now when you look at the manosphere, or just with men in social media in general?
Right. I think to a very small degree that is true, and men, a very small group of men are trying to strive for a higher level of consciousness. I just don't think most of them have figured it out yet. It might take a couple more years to really grow in that direction. It's going to take a lot more work. It's going to take more content creators like myself who are kind of attempting to take things in a different direction. But I think it's definitely starting. I think people's third eye is starting to open up just a little bit. And I think in time, those ideas like No Nut November and No Fap will actually blossom into better ideas as far as really opening your mind as a man and really taken the effective actions to get what we want to go. And I apologize if that's the kind of a vague answer. I'm trying to make it make sense for everybody. But I think it's a small step in the right direction. I'll say that much.
Definitely. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, listen, guys. I know this is a late stream, and we got 226 people here. Itachi, man, yo, you dope, bro. Are you willing to come back on in the future, bro?
Anytime, man. Anytime. Absolutely.
Okay. And I didn't cut you off too many times today, did I?
No, not at all, man. I might have done it too, so it's all good.
I know I'm bad at that. Everybody gives me shit, but I sometimes people will say something, and if I don't ask at that moment, I'll forget, or it might be so hot. But I know that sometimes I gotta let people rock because they might keep dropping jewels like you. So
right.
It is what it is.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got a lot of people in the chat. Yo, bro, you got a lot of your crews repping in the chat today, bro. When you watch the playback, I think you're gonna recognize a lot of names.
I can't wait to see him, man. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah. And guys, listen, hold on a second. Let me pull up his channel here so you guys can see. Make sure you guys follow him. Any dude that has like a anime avatar, but it doesn't sound like he's totally out there in terms of weirdo-ness is cool with him. So make sure you guys follow him. Itachi Reloaded, keep butchering it, and he's got got a bunch of subs up. I don't know about the roses, bro. You might have to change it. Maybe it's the kiss of death, though.
Really, I've never been. Man, Solo. I've never been ashamed of my feminine side either. I find that as men, we can actually draw power from that as well. So it's about the yin and the yang, bro. Once you tap into both of them, you can actually become even stronger, man. I'm telling you.
There you go. Nah, bro. Actually, I was just giving you shit for the roses, man. I wasn't being serious.
All right.
Make sure y'all follow him. You guys make sure you follow me on the gram at Solotv84, Snapchat, Twitter. Follow me on Patreon. I got a crazy video coming out tomorrow that'll wrestle some jimmies. That's all I'm doing lately. Wrestling jimmies. And with that being said, hold on a second. With that being said, we are out. You know what I mean? And yeah, guys, make sure. Listen, guys. Hold up. I feel like I'm forgetting something. You ever feel like you're forgetting something when you're doing a stream?
I've always felt like I'm forgetting something, man.
Okay, Simply Yeda says, I'll dream of you. Hey, Simply Yeda, hit me up on the gram. I mean, what do you look like? You know what I'm saying? No Dwight Howard. You know what I mean? Hit me up, Solotv84. It's weird, man. Sometimes you'll have girls add you and then they got boyfriends and she's like, I'm trying to tell them.
I got married women sending me pictures, emailing me, and saying they want to come see me if they ever come to Florida. All kinds of stuff like that, man. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Are you
man.
serious? You got married?
Oh yeah, not a lot. Maybe just a couple. Just a couple that watch my live streams and stuff. But yeah, I actually had one today, so it's pretty interesting, man. It's pretty interesting.
All you YouTubers got groupies,
we got fangirls, bro. We got fangirls, man. I'm telling. Even you got fangirls, man. I see them in the chat.
Yeah. But it's never like on some I want to come see you, for some bunker busting action.
Well, maybe because I did a few face reveals, so maybe that had something to do with it. And I'll even post a picture. I'll post a picture on my little community thing of me after the stream, just so you guys know that I'm not some nerdy, weirdo who's talking out of his ass.
I'm gonna look at that. Maybe that's what I need to start doing. Usually I post pictures on the gram though, just so people don't think I'm an incel. Because everybody, for some reason, thinks, "Oh, I'm an incel in my basement." And I live with my mom, and then people get offended when they see me.
Yeah, I don't get it, man.
Like pictures of me and girls, and they're like, "Bro, you actually."
It's like no matter what you do, you're never good enough,
Exactly. Exactly. It's like, no matter what I do, it's like people get offended that I'm actually out there and about, not being some weirdo.
Right.
But
that's crazy.
What it is, man.
Definitely.
But anyway, guys, make sure y'all follow him. His link will be in the description on the playback. You guys stay blessed. Solotv84. We got Snow Bunny Sunday next Sunday coming out. That's gonna be lit. We also got some other streams coming out. Make sure y'all stay tuned. And that's it, man. We out.
All right.
Bro, man, you dope. You dope. You know what I mean? You was